Hey there, and welcome to the weekly Asylum and Immigration Reform Update, where I share with you 5 recent stories of interest to asylum seekers and those who want to stay current on immigration news. This week, we're discussing
Biden's deportations match Trump's, focusing on border over interior enforcement. Oklahoma's new law criminalizing undocumented immigrants sparks debate among police. Border arrests drop after asylum suspension, but future policy impact remains unclear. Cato study finds undocumented immigrants have lower homicide rates than the US-born population. Most immigration custody deaths were preventable, revealing systemic healthcare failures.
I'm Brian Manning, and I used to be an asylum officer with the government, but now, as an asylum lawyer, I help immigrants all over the country to secure their future in America through asylum. It's my pleasure to bring you asylum and immigration reform updates each week right here on the Political Asylum Lawyers YouTube channel. Okay, let's get to the news. First up,
the Biden administration is on track to match Trump-era deportation numbers, focusing on border enforcement rather than interior removals. Since fiscal year 2021, 1.1 million deportations have occurred, with a shift towards returns rather than formal removals. The administration has prioritized deporting recent border crossers and those posing security or safety threats. Diplomatic efforts have enabled deportations to over 170 countries. Resource constraints and record migrant arrivals have challenged enforcement efforts. The administration has implemented policies to encourage legal pathways and deter unauthorized crossings. As the 2024 election approaches, border security remains a key issue. Biden has issued new rules restricting asylum access, while Trump proposes more aggressive enforcement measures, including using the military and massive internment camps to hold undocumented persons before removal. The effectiveness of future deportation policies will depend on resources, immigration levels, and cooperation from countries accepting deportees.
And next up, for update number 2.
Oklahoma's new law criminalizing undocumented immigrants has sparked debate among the state's law enforcement leaders. Some agencies plan to enforce it, while others refuse, citing concerns about racial profiling, lack of resources, and potential overcrowding of jails. The law, set to take effect next week, allows for fines and jail time for those without legal status. Proponents argue it will combat drug and human trafficking, but critics say it goes well beyond that scope. Local police departments face challenges in implementation, including technology limitations and staffing shortages. The measure has drawn comparisons to similar laws in Texas and Iowa, both of which face legal challenges. Meanwhile, immigrant communities express fear about the law's impact on families. The state's approach contrasts with existing federal-local partnerships for identifying and deporting unauthorized immigrants deemed threats. Groups have sued to block the law from going into effect.
All right, time for our third immigration update.
The Department of Homeland Security reports a significant decrease in border arrests following the near-complete suspension of asylum processing at the border, a drastic measure announced recently by the Biden administration. Arrests have dropped over 40% in the 3 weeks since President Biden's June 5th proclamation took effect, reaching the lowest level since January 2021. The Border Patrol's daily average arrests have fallen below 2,400, though still above the 1,500 threshold required to resume asylum processing. The administration has implemented policies to deter unauthorized crossings while creating new legal pathways. The Homeland Security Secretary declared the new asylum limitations successful during a visit to Arizona. Immigration advocates have filed lawsuits challenging these restrictions, citing them as inconsistent with U.S. domestic law and the nation's international commitments. The effectiveness of future border policies remains uncertain, dependent on resources and cooperation from other countries.
And moving right along, update number 4.
The research based on Texas data suggests that increased immigration enforcement may not reduce crime rates. The study's author emphasizes the importance of crime rates over raw numbers in assessing immigrant criminality. While acknowledging that every large population includes some criminals, the findings indicate that both illegal and legal immigrants are less likely to be convicted of homicide than native-born Americans. The report recommends that other states follow Texas's example in tracking the immigration status of those arrested and convicted of crimes to provide a more comprehensive national picture.
And finally, our 5th immigration update for this week.
A new report from human rights groups finds that most deaths in U.S. immigration and customs enforcement custody from 2017 to 2021 were preventable. Of 52 deaths analyzed, 49 were deemed preventable or possibly preventable. The study, based on over 14,000 documents reviewed by medical experts, cites systemic failures in medical and mental health care at ICE facilities. Issues include incorrect diagnoses, inadequate treatment, delayed emergency care, and falsified documentation. The report also criticizes ICE's death investigation procedures and lack of standardized autopsy criteria. The authors call for phasing out immigration detention in favor of community-based services. They argue that the findings reveal significant flaws in ICE detention healthcare and underscore the dangers of the current system. Immigration and the handling of undocumented immigrants is taking center stage ahead of the 2024 presidential elections.
And that wraps up this week's immigration news. If you want to win asylum in the United States, then you should call my office today. We help people all over the country, so it doesn't matter where you are. Call us now to schedule an asylum strategy session so that we can help you secure your future in America through asylum. Again, I'm Brian Manning, and it's an honor to serve you in your immigration journey.